Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Last week I made a video where I spoke about Imam Ibn Hajar rahimahullah, and I brought his commentary of the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam where he says Yanzilu Rabbuna, that our Lord descends. And now Imam Ibn Hajar rahimahullah comments on the meaning of the word descent, and he says that those who understood it on its literal and apparent meanings, they are the mushabbiha, and he says far greater is Allah than their opinion. Now the reason I made this whole video and I made this statement and everything, and I brought what Imam Ibn Hajar rahimahullah said, the reason behind all that was simply to show that Imam Ibn Hajar rahimahullah was not in agreement, or he did not align with the Salafi Aqidah of today.
No, Ibn Hajar contradicted himself. He did not disagree with the Salafis. He disagreed with the Salaf. Let's prove that. Have a look at this page of Fath al-Bari, volume 13, page 408. Look, Tirmidhi is quoting the ideology of Ahlus Sunnati wal Jama'ah. He said, with regards to the hadith of Allah's descendants, Allah is over his throne as he described himself, while Allah is over his throne as he described himself. And numerous scholars mentioned that of this hadith of Allah's descendants, as well as all other hadith. We prove firmly these narrations, believing in it without imagining anything. And we should not be saying how. That's why what it means, without tafsir, that means without saying how. This is what was narrated to Malik, Ibn Uyayna, Ibn Mubarak, that they let it pass without how. And this is the statements of Ahlul Ilm of Ahlul Sunnati wal Jama'ah. But as for the Jahmiyyah, and they said, this is tashbih, making Allah similar to his creatures. Then he narrated Ishaq ibn Rahuya saying, tashbih, similarity, is to say, hand like this hand. His hearing is like our hearing. Then Ibn Hajar quoted the Hafiz of Maghrib, Morocco, Imam Ibn Abd al-Barr. He said, Ahl Sunnah are unanimously believing in approving these attributes mentioned authentically in the book and the Sunnah. They did not make any takyif to it. That means they did not say how. This is the tafsir that we should be denying. Then he said, but as for the Jahmiyyah and Mu'tazila and the Khawarij, they said whoever approved these attributes is mushabbih, making Allah similar to his creatures. Then Ahl Sunnah called the Jahmiyyah, the Mu'tazila, the Khawarij, they called them Mu'attilah. I want you always to remember these words without necessarily always translating them. Mushabbiha, making Allah similar to his creatures. Mu'attila, denying, disrupting Allah's attributes. It doesn't mean that they say, no, Allah did not say that he went over his throne. No. But they said we give it a meaning, which is the metaphor you are inviting us to. So, according to what Ibn Hajar quoted at Tirmidhi and Ibn Abd al-Barr, we can say to you, you are Jahmi Umar. Open your eyes, look at the page, you're going to find two issues. One is that you are Jahmi. Second, that Ibn Hajar contradicted himself. We'll add the third one, that Ibn Hajar did not disagree with the Salafis, but he was disagreeing with the Salafis, those who passed before, companions, tabi'een, etc. So, read this and please put yourself in the right place now. Where do we put you now, according to this page? In the scholars of Ahl Sunnah, as At-Tirmidhi quoted them, or with the Jahmis? I have proved to you, Umar, that you are aligned with the Jahmiyyah, according to the page. Read, open your eyes, and don't be agenda. So this is a strong evidence today against you. You couldn't make it. Ironically, you never give us your hidden metaphors. Give us. You just say, don't take it apparently, literally. Okay, give us your metaphorically. Don't keep people away from that. You know why you don't? You avoid it because by this you'll be making yourself so clear that you're Jahmi. Why? Look at this page from At-Tirmidhi. Look what At-Tirmidhi said. In his book, Sunan Tirmidhi, under hadith number 662. At-Tirmidhi said, this is what had been narrated by Imam Malik, Sufyan ibn Uyayna, Abdullah ibn Mubarak, that they said about these hadith, let it pass without how. That means without arguing about how he is. No. Always. About how, we don't give tafsir. About what does it mean, we give tafsir. There's a difference between how and meaning. How he descends, how he went over his throne, we don't say how. We don't give tafsir as to how. But as to the meaning of istawa, yes, the meaning is well known. Then he continued. He said, this is the way of Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. But as for the Jahmis, they disrupted these attributes and said, this is Mushabbiha's way. Then he said, the Jahmis gave ta'weel to these ayat of Allah's attributes differently than the tafsir that the people of knowledge gave, saying that the meaning of hand is power. So this is the meaning of Jahmi's denial. They did not say, no, Allah did not say that. No, they denied it by giving it that metaphorical ta'weel. Where do we put yourself now? You are aligned with the Jahmiyyah according to the pages. Look, I'm showing you two pages. One is from Fath al-Bari, the other one from Sunan al-Tirmidhi, under the hadith number 662. Very clear. Then, At-Tirmidhi quoted Ishaq ibn Ibrahim saying, Tashbih, making Allah similar to His creatures, is to say, hand like that hand of Allah. Hearing like the hearing. Then he said, if a person says Allah has hearing, Allah has sight, without saying how, without saying sight like the sight, hearing like the hearing, sight like that sight, hearing like his hearing, this is tashbih. But if he said Allah has hand as he described himself, he has hearing, he has sight, without saying how, without saying hearing like his hearing, this is not Mushabbiha's way. This is not tashbih. At-Tirmidhi is saying that. He's not giving us his own opinion. He's quoting the Salaf. So, as a result, Ibn Hajar did not disagree with the Salafis, but he disagreed with the Salafis, and his attitude is very contradictory. Despite our respect to him, and we love him. I love Ibn Hajar, but here he contradicted himself. Very clear, loud and clear. You did not make a point, Umar. Be careful that you may be taking the steps on being agenda only, deluding yourself and misleading others. Let's continue.
The reason I'm mentioning this is because there has been a person who goes by the name Dimashqiah on online on YouTube, and he came out with a video trying to refute everything that I said in that video. So the first thing that he mentions is that Umar diagnosed the problem but did not propose a solution. That was the purpose of that video, and there was no diagnosis of a problem and there was no proposition of a solution because of that. in video, today's what, Monday? So on Wednesday, so 2 days from now, the video that is going to come out where I speak about the hadith talking about Allah's descent and why we can't take it literally and why and what the meaning should actually be, and I'm going to talk about that. In this video, however, I'm going to speak a little bit more in detail of it because that was a concise video that is, going to be quick. So I'm going to speak a little bit more in detail here because Dimashqiah decided that he wants to refute the idea, before I even explain it, clearly and everything. So
even in this, you're wrong. The doctor, when he diagnoses a patient's problem, he doesn't say to him, come to me next week, come to me next month, I'll give you the solution, I'll give you the medicine. This is unjustifiable answer. It is a matter of running away.
So that was the first thing that he said, that I diagnosed the problem, but I did not propose a solution. This was the first thing that he says. Then he goes on to challenge me to a debate.
And I would love that you accept to debate with me.
What I'm going to say to this is a few things. The first of which is that we study traditionally and we follow the traditional methodology of the way the scholars of the past have been, where the teacher teaches the student until he feels that the student is ready to take on his role as, scholar, right? And this is the traditional ijaza method where you would essentially stick with a sheikh for a number of years and then you ask him, can you give me ijaza to, essentially to teach whatever I want to teach, however, can you give me that ijaza? Because the teacher throughout these years looks at the student and tests him and makes sure that he knows what he's talking about.
Didn't your teacher test you if you know what you're talking about? If he didn't test you, and he did not give you ijaza, why you are taking your way towards your rivals? Even in this, you're wrong, and your sheikh is wrong, and we don't care about your methodology. What we care about that you are confronting us. So you don't want us to confront you, to react against you, saying to us, don't refute me, don't confront with me, I'm not ripe yet. So, did your teacher give you ijaza to refute people? What we see with you, refuting. This is a faulty methodology. We disconsider your methodology with your teacher. You're running away. That's all, Omar. That's why Omar said.
And then he says, you know what? This student of mine is qualified, and then he gives him that ijaza. So, the reason that I'm saying that is because in order for me to do something like this, like a debate, I would have to have that ijaza from my teacher. Right now I don't have that ijaza, and according to the program that I'm in, there's still 3 years left. I'm still a student of knowledge. There's still 3 years left before I can ask him for that ijaza. Once I ask him for that ijaza, once he gives it to me, I am ready to accept anyone's debate challenge.
You are challenging us. You are tracing us. You are refuting us. Is this with ijaza or without ijaza? This is a justification of running away. As a result, you're refusing to debate.
The reason why is because we are not after our ego. We are after the truth. Who cares?
Who told you that you're not after your ego? Do you know what? I mean, it's normal to say, I'm not after my ego, while you may be. And Allah said, don't claim the purity of your soul. So are you telling me, don't debate with me, Dimashqiah, because I'm not after my ego? That doesn't make sense. You're running away.
Here's what the people are going to say. Oh, Umar lost the debate. He won the debate. If I lost the debate, I actually won because I got guided. So
Who told you that you got guided? You're following the Jahmiyyah, and I proved it. With documents. I proved that you are following the way of Jahmiyyah. Who said it? Imam Tirmidhi. He said that the Jahmiyyah said Allah's istiwa, Allah's hand is a power. So they took it metaphorically. The Jahmiyyah. Don't you see the papers? As for me, when I speak with documents. This is the right methodology, not you and your teacher. By the way, bring us your teacher. I'm so keen to debate with your teacher. I'm sure your teacher has ijazah from another teacher. Give me his name. Give me his telephone number. I'm ready for that. But I tell you from now, Umar, neither you nor your sheikh will be accepting to debate with me. If you do, you'll be exposed. It's just like a matter of suicide to me.
I'm not going to accept a challenge online as long as I don't have the ijazah from my teacher and as long as I don't have that skill set. So this is on the topic of debate, that as soon as I get the ijazah from my teacher, which inshallah, I'm still a student, I have 3 years left in my program, when I ask my teacher for ijazah and inshallah he gives it to me, I will accept anyone's debate challenge that comes.
Which means, Sheikh Dimashqiah, wait 3 years. I'm now 67. Okay, so I'm gotta wait for you until you become 70. That's impossible. I have a solution. I diagnosed your problem and I'm gonna propose the solution to you, okay? Bring me your sheikh. Bring me your sheikh. That's the solution. Otherwise, this is a running away.
Wait. He goes on to say,
Umar, you're making a lie. Don't lie. All the Salafi scholars, first 3 generations, they all said that the hadith of Allah's descendants should be taken without changing its meaning. You're making a lie.
so this is not what all of the Salaf have said. They said, أَمِرُّوهَا كَمَا جَاءَتْ بِلَا كَيْفٍ. Pass them by as they came without a modality and without a how. Right? This is what the statement of the Salaf is actually with regards to these verses. And this is something they acknowledge as well. And he acknowledges this later on in this entire video. He actually acknowledges this as well.
Those are the Salaf scholars. أنهم قالوا أمروها, let it pass. بلا كيف.
That does not mean establish the meaning and don't change the meaning. Right? That does not mean they affirmed it without changing the meaning. They affirmed it by rejecting its literal meaning. Where do I get this from? When they say أَمِرُّوهَا كَمَا جَاءَتْ, pass them by as they came. Why in the world are the Salaf saying pass it by as it came if there was no problem with the meaning? Why did they famously say تَفْسِيرُهَا قِرَاءَتُهَا? Its meaning is its recitation. Its explanation is its recitation. Leave it as it is. Don't delve into it. Don't talk about the meaning. Don't.
That's a lie here. They did not say don't talk about its meaning. They explained the meaning. I'll give you an example. In Sahih al-Bukhari, Kitab al-Tawheed, Bab wa kana arshu ala al-ma', al-Bukhari said, قال Mujahid. Mujahid is the student of Ibn Abbas, the cousin of the Prophet. The Prophet supplicated Allah for Ibn Abbas to teach him the ta'wil, the tafsir. So Mujahid, the student of Ibn Abbas in matter of tafsir, and as well as Abu al-Aliya, they both said, Istawa ay irtafa, he went up. He went up over his throne. Mujahid said, Ala, he went up. Abu al-Aliya, another student of Ibn Abbas, he said, Istawa ay irtafa, he elevated. Both meanings are close to one another. So they gave tafsir. Al-Bukhari narrated it mu'allaqah. That means without its chain of narration. Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani, he put the chain of narration in his book Taghliq al-Ta'liq. So this is the chain of narration. In case you said that Bukhari narrated it without its chain of narration, here's the chain of narration. And At-Tirmidhi refuted you by saying the Jahmiya gave different meaning, different tafsir to the attributes of Allah, differently than the tafsir the scholars gave. So there is tafsir. As well as Imam Malik, he said, Al-Istiwa, ma'loom. The istiwa of Allah is known. Is known. He did not say there's no meaning for it. You know what it means? This means that the attributes of Allah are not problematic, as you claim. The Ash'aris claim that, those attributes have a problem. We should give it a different meaning, a metaphorical meaning. This is your bad thought about Allah, that He attributed Himself with attributes that are not fit with Allah's majesty. So don't ever say that the scholars did not give a meaning. Yes, they dealt with the meaning, as I mentioned to you. For example, you Ash'aris claim, and if I'm wrong, tell me. Imam Malik said, Al-istiwa'u ma'loom wal-kayfu majhul. The elevation of Allah is well known. The elevation is known, but how is unknown. Asking about it is a matter of innovation, bid'ah. Believing in it is a mandate. And you are a person of innovation, take him out. That's what Imam Malik said. The one who came and asked him how Allah got up over His throne. Who narrated it? Al-Bayhaqi. What's the name of the book? You know what's the name of the book? Umar? الاعتقاد على مذهب السلف. The belief based on the madhab of the Salaf. You always keep tackling the Salafi way. Salaf, 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 Salaf. Who hired you? But anyway, we're proud to be called Salafis. That means following the way of Muhammad ﷺ and his companions. Now, the Ash'aris say, oh, al-istiwa'u ma'lum, that's a weak narration narrated to Imam Malik. Oh, really? Yeah, they say, yeah. MashaAllah. Now the Ash'aris became so strict in the authenticity of the chain of narration. So strict. But usually they're not. When they say that Allah authorized Jibreel to write the Quran by letters and words and sentences, where's the chain of narration about that? Nothing. This is according to the book of your Shaykh Abdullah al-Habashi, Idhar al-Aqidah al-Sunniyah, that it was Jibreel who selected language, letters, sentences, and words. And this is kufr, faithlessness, because it leads to the consequence that the Quran, the author of the Quran is Jibreel, not Allah. When they say that Allah will be creating at the Day of Judgment a creature and He will be giving him the name of Qadam, foot. This is their claim. When the Prophet attributed to Allah the foot, they said, foot? No. Foot is someone whom Allah is going to create him, and He'll be saying to him, get into hell. Where's the chain of narration? Where's the chain of narration here? Nothing. No problem, no problem, no problem. You say that it's weak, all right, give us the authentic one. Al-istiwa'u ghayru majhul. It's the same. Al-istiwa'u ma'loom, that means it's known. It's the same of al-istiwa'u ghayru majhul. That means it is not unknown. Same thing exactly. طيب. وَالْكَيْفُ غَيْرُ مَعْقُولٍ, instead of the unauthentic one. وَالْإِسْتِوَاءُ غَيْرُ مَعْقُولٍ. It means, look, it means it cannot be comprehended. Because knowing the howness of Allah cannot be achieved by the mind. غير معقول, that's what it means. The Ash'aris want to say to you, غير معقول means it's impossible that Allah has how. It's impossible. غير معقول. That's a lie. Who can prove this? 3 persons basically. Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani, al-Qurtubi, and Imam al-Zahabi. They all said that about how Allah is, nobody knows. Ibn Hajar said, the minds, al-uqul. See the word ma'qul, uqul, very close. Here, where the Ash'aris play the game. غير معقول, they gave it a meaning. That means it's impossible. While it means غير معقول, that means the minds, al-uqul, لا تدرك ذلك, cannot reach to know about Allah, how He is. See the playing game of the Ash'aris? So don't forget, Umar ElBayhaqi wrote a book calling it The Belief Based on the Madhab of the Salaf. There you should be working and striving, not to strive against the way of the Salaf. That's what you're doing now. Let's continue. From now I'm giving something so you can refute. The Ash'aris say that Allah speaks in Himself because He doesn't speak with sound. Because Allah's words are neither letters, nor words, nor language, and no sound. Because Allah speaks only in Himself. In a matter of fact, this is not speech. So Bukhari refuted people like you, saying that yes, Allah speaks with sound. I'm challenging you to say to me, no, we Ash'aris believe that Allah speaks with sound. I challenge you. And this also shows that you are Jahmiyyah. You are Jahmi. So they gave a meaning to the speech of Allah that Allah speaks with sound. Can you give me an answer, please? If Allah speaks with sound or not? That's a challenge. You won't be given an answer to it. From now, I'm telling you, you're going to ignore me. The challenge is being set for you. Give an answer. Does Allah speak with sound or without sound? Look what Imam Bukhari said in his book, Khalq Af'al al-Ibad. He says, yes, Allah speaks with sound. And Allah's sound is not like our sound, because لَيْسَ كَمِثْلِهِ شَيْءٍ, there is nothing that resembles Allah. So Allah affirmed the meaning of Allah's speech, that it is speech with sound. But He said, it is not like the sound of us. Every attribute of Allah has a meaning. The question to you is, did the Prophet know the meaning of Allah's attributes, or he didn't know? If he knew, why didn't he convey? That's his mission, to convey the message. If he did not know, that means the Prophet is ignorant about Allah's attributes. That means the Ash'aris know what the Prophet did not know. Bismillah, mashallah. Don't forget that the Ash'aris are two conflicting sects. One of them, they say, we know the meanings of Allah's attributes. The other one, they say, no meanings. Allahu A'lam, He knows best. So where do you put the Prophet now? The Ash'aris of Ta'weel or the Ash'aris of Tafweed? Where do we put the Prophet now? If you say he didn't know, so how the Ash'aris of Ta'weel, they know, and they give Ta'weels and they make it obligatory on us to take it. As you see, Al-Razi, the Imam of Ash'aris, he is saying that istawa, it must mean istawla. It's obligatory. That's the Imam of the Ash'aris. But I have a gift for you. Al-Razi, he calls Aflaton, the philosopher, the Greek philosopher, as the Imam. So Aflaton is the Imam of the Ash'aris. Have a look at it. In another word, so that means also the Prophet is Jahil, but the Ash'aris are not Jahil. Or the Ash'aris are liars when they claim meanings with the Prophet did not know. In both cases, Ash'aris are in trouble. How do you save yourself from that drowning, Mr. Umar? Good point. If you say he knew, Then we ask, why didn't he convey? That's another trouble. Let's continue. You're in trouble in both cases. If you say the Prophet knew, you're in trouble. Why didn't he convey? If you say he did not know, that means the Prophet is ignorant about Allah and his attributes. And if the Prophet of Allah did not know the meaning, how come Ibn Abbas and his students in tafsir, they gave the meaning? Let's continue.
Explain it. Don't do ta'wil of it. This is what they're saying, and they would not have said this if there was no problem with the literal meaning.
This is nothing. The scholars gave meaning, and by that meaning they refuted the Jahmiyyah. For example, when Bukhari says that Allah speaks with voice, sound, this is a meaning giving to the attributes of Allah, that he speaks with voice, not without. When they interpreted this ayah, Allah is with you wherever you be, that it is by his knowledge, they said the meaning of Allah is with you, it means his knowledge. So they gave meaning. They did not say it has no meaning. What's the meaning of Allah is with you? There is no three, but Allah is the fourth of them. Allah is the seventh. There is no five, but Allah is the sixth of them. Then Allah said, and Allah is with you wherever you be. Allah is well aware of everything. So the scholars gave meaning, and they said, Allah meant by this that he is with us by his knowledge while he is over his throne. They gave meaning. And by that meaning, they refuted the Jahmiyyah. So never dare to say that the Salaf did not know the meaning. Or they said, Allahu A'lam about its meanings. The Salaf, they prohibited people from delving with the matter of how. Take, for example, the tafsir of Tabari, Imam Tabari. There is no ayah that he gave tafsir to, but he said the ta'wil of this ayah means, in my perspective, so and so and so. He never come across any attribute of Allah saying, oh, there is no tafsir for this. Never. Umar, you are a confused man. You know when the Salaf say, تفسيرها قراءتها, it means the meaning is known automatically, built-in meaning. The meaning is set with the context. And the layman people understands this. That's why, look what one of the scholars of Bukhari said, Yazid ibn Harun. He set the understanding of the layman people to be the standard. It's very important, Umar. Look what he said. That's in the book Khalq Af'al al-Ibad for Bukhari, page 15. I hope that Bukhari is not mushabbih to you and to your teacher. Look what he said. Narrated by Yazid ibn Harun, that he said while he was warning against the Jahmiyyah, he said, whoever that Ar-Rahmanu ala al-Arshi stawa, Allah elevated over his throne, على خلاف ما يقر في قلوب العامة, giving it a different meaning than what is understood automatically by the layman people, فهو جهمي, then he is Jahmi. So he had taken the understanding of the layman people as the scale and the standard in this. In addition to this, Allah will not be leaving us wandering without guiding us about this important issue of Tawheed. How come the Prophet gave us something like 5 instructions about what to do if you go to the bathroom, but he did not give us any instruction about how to deal with these attributes, which caused us today to differ? Or Allah knows that these attributes won't be causing any problem. and naturally can be dealt with. There is a very important ruling. It says, لا يجوز تأخير البيان عن وقت الحاجة. It is not permissible to defer clarifying the matter from the time needed. That's very beautiful ruling. People need to know how to deal with the attributes of Allah. Why Allah descended these attributes to us without telling us that be careful, don't take it apparently, but you must take it metaphorically, despite those who urge us to use the metaphor. They are admitting that their metaphor is possible and not decisive, not indefinite, not definite, but presumably believed to be so. So it's the matter of giving us instructions about what to do if we go to the bathroom is more important to Allah and His Messenger than the issue of dealing with these attributes, which causes in those philosophic people perspectives that it causes us, if we affirm them, to fall in kufr, making Allah equal, similar to His creatures. Unless you brought this philosophy that caused this confusion. I know that it's going to be ending with you to say, no, Allah Himself is not over the throne. There is no Rabb. There is no God over the throne. I know that. That's why you're going to keep running away from telling us this. Because you know that if you said it, you are Jahmi. Finish. Continue. Saying that the Salaf prohibited in the book of Bukhari, Khalq Af'al al-Ibad, he is relating to the Salaf that they debated Jahm ibn Safwan, the establisher of your madhab. They said he failed to believe that there is Rabb, Lord, over His throne. And then the Shaykh of Bukhari, Yusuf ibn Muhammad, he affirmed it, that the one who doesn't believe that there is a Lord God over the throne is kafir, blasphemer, disbeliever. Let's continue.
So when he says that He is in the skies, in other words, His authority over the skies, His authority over the heavens. What you did is ijtihad, and what I did is ijtihad. So what makes our understanding more closer to the truth than your understanding? Why would somebody want to take mine? Because of the verse itself, where Allah reveals this to the mushrikeen of Quraysh, He reveals this to the kuffar, and He's trying to instill fear into them, saying that
He is trying. Don't use human words and refer them to Allah. We don't use the word trying. Allah does not try, you ignorant. You see? Your speech is nonsense, is meaningless, is baseless. How dare you say that Allah is trying?
essentially Allah is in control of the heavens and the earth, and He can destroy you at any moment.
So if Allah's authority is everywhere, why He made it only in the sky, in the heaven? So Allah is supposed to be saying, Allah is everywhere. That means His authority is everywhere. And this is what the Jahmiyyah said before. When they say Allah is everywhere, they say we mean by that His authority. You're confusing. You are confused and confusing. You're not making sense. And by the way, what we said is not by ijtihad. We said what the Salaf said. Because our methodology is book and sunnah by the understanding of the Salaf of the Ummah. We said Allah Himself is up. You know why we say Himself? Because the Jahmiyyah, your Salaf, they said His high rank of honor is up. So that's why when the Salaf refuted them, they said bidatihi. That means Himself, not His honor. Who used this word bidatihi? Salafis or the Salaf? No, the Salaf said it. And we are تبع لهم. We are following people to them. You see? You're not making sense. So now you're contradicting yourself, because you said that Allah's authority is everywhere. So why he said that he is in the heaven, that means his authority is only up, apart from down. Especially when the Imam Ash'ari said that Allah is over his heavens, over his throne, apart from the ground. So he's not talking about authority. Because if you take it as authority, that means Ash'ari himself, he meant that Allah has no authority down. His authority is only up. You put yourself in trouble, and you can't get out of this trouble unless you follow the way of the Salaf. Our way is not ijtihad. Our way is following the pure way of the Salaf. But you are contradicting yourself. Alhamdulillah, now you started to show us your interpretation, which make it easy for us to refute.
But they realize that the literal meaning seems to indicate that Allah is some type of a physical body, so we're not going to talk about it. And this is why the statement comes after saying bila kayf, which is a negation of modality. It's a negation of how, because how, kayf, is only asked about for physical objects. You say, how did you come? Ji'tu rakiban, I came riding. A description of the way this person came, right? He came riding a horse, right? Or you would say, how big is this thing, right? Describe the physicality of that thing. How big is it? How tall is it? How small is it? How short is it, right? How dry is it? How wet is it? All of the questions of how are asked about physical beings, and Allah is not a physical being. This is what the Salaf al-Salih were trying to say when they said bila kayf, without a modality.
Asking about how, because it indicates a matter of physical body. That is not true. This is a lie against them. But they prohibited it because it is a matter of delving about something which is unknown to us, ghaib, and far away from analysis and thinking by mind, and without knowledge. And speaking about a matter of ghaib, about Allah, without knowledge, no one can be saved from falling in error. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned many prohibited things. And one of them is وَأَن تَقُولُوا عَلَى اللَّهِ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ, and that you speak about Allah without knowledge. And you admitted it, that our ta'weels are possible, not firm, not certain. Then, ironically, they make it mandatory that people should be taking it. They make their ta'weels to be obligatory, mandatory. Look, Asas al-Taqdees for Al-Razi. He's saying that it is wajib that you should be taking our ta'weel. Istawa, that means istawla. He captured, recontrolled the throne. So that is why the Salaf don't allow talking about how regarding Allah, because it is a matter of delving without knowledge about a matter of unseen ghaib. Do you know now why? You claim that scholars disagreed about the word أَوْ لَامَسْتُمُ النِّسَاءَ.
Now, if the meaning of descent is to move from one place to another, and that applies to physical beings only, and then they negated the physicality of Allah, then they've rejected the literal meaning. They didn't say establish it on its literal meaning, don't change the meaning. They said don't talk about the meaning. So don't try and make up things saying that the Salaf said don't change the meaning. They never said that. Then he says,
Maybe you're talking about the Ash'ari scholars.
no, not talking about the Ash'aris. We're talking about the Salaf who came before the Ash'aris, when they said أَمِرُّهَا كَمَا جَاءَتْ بِلَا كَيْفٍ and تَفْسِيرُهَا قِرَاءَتُهَا. Then he goes on to say,
Umar, who says that Allah above? The Salafis or Allah and His Messenger?
With regards to whether Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said this or the Salafis of today said this, that Allah being above the throne literally, we say that there's a reason differences of opinion existed in the past. Why is it that when Allah said, "Oh, la mastumun nisa," that you touch women, la masa yulamisu means to come in physical contact with. Why is it that when Allah said touch women, Imam Abu Hanifa understood it to mean have intercourse with women, and Imam Shafi'i understood it to mean that you just physically touch and that's it? Why is it that there's this difference of opinion when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said touch? There should be no difference of opinion, right? But this is the way we understand the speech of Allah. There are differing opinions and different ways to understand it than just the literal, and these are acceptable if there's an evidence to point to the necessity of taking these statements on their non-literal metaphorical meanings.
And that Shafi'i thought that mere touching, this is mere touching. This is a matter of fiqh, secondary issue. But as for the matter of Aqidah, it's not secondary issue. It had been authentically narrated by An-Nasa'i, authentically, that the Prophet used to be taking wudu, kissing some of his wives, then he goes to the masjid and pray. That is authentic. Finish. It is important to note that the Salaf did not disagree about this issue, that Allah is over his throne. Nobody among the Salaf disagreed that Allah is over his throne. Yes, they disagreed with the Jahmis. Your Salaf, your own Salaf. Subhanallah, how you were troubled with arguing, with meaningless argumenting. At least accept your Shaykh Abu al-Hasan al-Ash'ari, who said in his book, Risalat Abu al-Hasan al-Ash'ari ila Ahl al-Thaghr, that's the title. He said, all scholars agreed that Allah is over his throne, over his seven heavens, apart from the earth. He is up apart from the earth. Would you accept that? No.
But only the one where Allah is above his throne, right? As for Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah, we say that anything that makes Allah... Then he says...
Maybe you're talking about the Ash'ari scholars.
No, not talking about the Ash'aris, we're talking about the Salaf who came before the Ash'aris. When they said, أَمِرُّهَا كَمَا جَاءَتْ بِلَا كَيْفٍ and تَفْسِيرُهَا قِرَاءَتُهَا. Then he goes...
Yeah, the Salaf said, let it pass without how. The tafsir of it is just to recite it. Yes, that's what the Salaf said. Which means that the attributes of Allah fits with the natural disposition, with the nature of mankind. Just like saying, using the word today, automatical. So there is no problem in accepting these attributes. Yes. But the Ash'aris said something different.
With regards to whether Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said this or the Salafis of today said this, that Allah being above the throne literally, we say that there's a reason differences of opinion existed in the past. Why is it that when Allah...
No, there is no different opinions regarding that at the time of the Salaf. No differences of opinion. I challenge you to bring something like that. They all believe that Allah is up, as your Shaykh Ash'ari quoted it, saying that they agreed. You say that the differences of opinions. You are charging your Ash'ari, the establisher of the madhab Ash'ari, you're charging him with the lie. You are contradicting him. He said they agreed, and you say differences of opinions. That's a lie. You see, what you do is you pass by lies ambiguously. Just pass by very quickly. You are a leader of misguidance, and they are setting you up to become a professional one. And I swear by Allah, I am going to follow you with every lie you make to expose you among all people. So you'll be very famously known that you are a liar. Now you lied against the Salaf. You said differences of opinion.
Your Sheikh Ash'ari said they agreed that Allah is over His seven heavens, over His throne apart from the earth. He is up apart from down. Let's continue now.
Second thing that I want to say is that yes, Allah said that He's above His throne, and He also said that He's in the sky. Amintum man fis sama, right? Literally in the sky. And Allah also said that He is closer to you than your jugular vein. وَنَحْنُ أَقْرَبُ إِلَيْهِ مِنْ حَبْلِ الْوَرِيدِ, right? And the Prophet ﷺ said that, in this hadith that we're speaking about, that Allah descends to the first heaven in the third portion of the night. Now, the earth is round. It's the third portion of the night for somebody in the entire world at all times. So this hadith, on its literal, means Allah is always in the first heaven. He's never on His throne. He's always in the first heaven. This is what the hadith actually means, if we were to take it on its literal. And the Prophet ﷺ also said that the closest a person is to Allah is when he's in sajda. So why are none of those taken on their literal meaning?
All scholars said,
We give two examples. One of them is from Tafsir al-Tabari. He said that Allah is with them by His knowledge while He is over His throne. Likewise is Al-Muharith al-Muhasibi said the same thing.
that Allah is with you while He is over His throne. He is over His throne while He knows everything about you. As Imam Malik also said, Allahu fis sama, Allah is over His throne, wa ilmuhu fi kulli makan, and His knowledge is everywhere. So that's why Allah said that we are closer to His jugular vein than you. That means by knowledge, my dear. All scholars agreed. There's no disagreement about that. Second, you claim about that Allah descends to the lowest heaven at the last part of the night. Al-Bukhari said that people like you, they fell in tashbih first, then they wanted to run away from it. So they fell in ta'til, making Allah nothing. Who said that? Al-Bukhari. Look at it. He said, هؤلاء شبهوا ثم وقعوا في التعطيل. And now you're doing the same thing. You're imagining that Allah is like us. Once He is up, He cannot be elsewhere. If He's like me and you, yes, there is a problem. But He's not like me and you. So you have to leave it as Allah mentioned it. And that's what the scholars recommended us to do. And the Prophet ﷺ said that when one of you is down in sujood, he is the closest to Allah. Then he said, so exceed supplication. You don't know what you're doing. That's a felony. That you are striking the ayat and the hadith one against the other to justify this metaphor. You're not a leader of guidance. No. What you're doing, it leads up to doubting Allah, doubting His Quran, doubting the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. You're not helping people to understand. You are corrupting, you are spoiling to justify, to patch your torn madhab, shredded madhab. That's what you're doing. So none of the scholars brought this. If He's up, so what does it mean that He is closer to us? None of the scholars mentioned it. The Salaf did not speak the way you're speaking. The way you're speaking is the Jahmi way of speaking. Let's move to part 4.
But only the one where Allah is above His throne. Right? As for Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah, we say that anything that makes Allah into some type of a physical body by its meaning, right? The meaning of which makes Allah some type of a physical entity is manfi anillah. It's rejected for Allah. So when
these are philosophic rulings. Don't say those are the Ahl Sunnah. Bring me and that's my challenge, from the 3 first generations, any scholars who mentioned it the way you're mentioning it, except those who have been contaminated with the corona of Jahmiyyah. Yes, corona of Jahmiyyah. So
I wish that you take some Salafi vaccines for yourself. That's my challenge. Bring me from the Salafis, from the scholars, be it the Prophet, Sahaba, Tabi'een, Mufassirin like Tabari, early Mufassir, anyone who said it like that. No one. No one. That's another lie, that you are putting in the mouth of the Salaf something that they did not say it.
These verses come, we interpret them, or we leave the meaning to Allah. This is what Ahlul Sunnah has said. So that's with regards to Allah saying it or the Salafis say this.
No, that's another lie. The Salaf did not say either you give them ta'weel or you say Allahu A'lam with Allahu A'lam, there is no meaning of them. That's the two parts of Ash'aris. One part they say yes, we give ta'weel. The other part, Mufawwida, they say Allahu A'lam, what did he mean by these attributes? So don't, the Ash'aris are something and the Salaf are something else. And that's why Sheikh Imam Jilani, he was equalizing the Ash'aris, comparing them side by side to the Mu'tazila. And he said that the istiwa of Allah is the istiwa of himself, istiwa of that. Unlike what the Ash'aris claim. Unlike also what the Mu'tazila claim. So he compared them in one place. Don't talk about Ash'aris and say that the Ahlul Sunnah. Ash'aris are not Ahlul Sunnah. They're not. Continue, little boy.
The Salafis are the ones who say that Allah is above the throne. Because if we go to what Allah says,
The Salaf are the one who say Allah is over his throne. What a liar. Al-Bayhaqi said, أَأَمِنْتُم مَّن فِي السَّمَاءِ, it means that Allah is over his throne. Al-Bayhaqi said, Allah meant by that he is over his throne. Bayhaqi. He said, as the sources from the book and the authentic Sunnah had proven it. Look at the document. So you may say, so Bayhaqi is Ash'ari. No, you should know that Al-Bayhaqi belongs to the early Ash'aris, Kullabi people, whom Al-Ash'ari himself had taken from them. And those early Ash'aris are much better than people like you. At least they used to be believing that Allah is up by himself. Look how he interpreted it. أَأَمِنْتُم مَّن فِي السَّمَاءِ, are you secure of the one who is in the heaven, in the height? He said, Allah meant by that the one who is in the heaven, that means the one who is over his throne. Don't make a lie and say the Salafis say that. Shame on you. What a big liar. Stop your lies.
the Salafis are the ones who say that Allah is above the throne. Because if we go to what Allah said, literally, Allah said He's literally in every place, right? وَهُوَ مَعَكُمْ أَيْنَمَا كُنْتُمْ أَيْنَمَا تُوَلُّوا فَثَمَّ وَجْهُ اللَّهِ.
See how he swiftly go with his false interpretations. All these Salaf said that Allah is with you wherever you be, that means with His knowledge. None of them said something else. He said Allah is over His throne and He knows everything about you while He is over His throne. These are the words of the Salaf. What you're doing is that you are intercepting many ayat against one another. The Salaf said Allah is over His throne. The Salaf said that Allah is with you by His knowledge. What an ignorant person. Let's continue.
Wherever you turn, you'll find the face of Allah. Allah is literally everywhere, according to
Qatada and Al-Dhahhak and all scholars of the Salaf, they said that at any place, any location, east, west, wherever you be, then you should take the direction. Al-wajh here means al-wajhah, the direction. As even you say in the hadith, dua of istiftah, when you start praying, before you read the Fatiha, you say, وَجَّهْتُ وَجْهِيَ لِلَّذِي فَطَرَ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. And there is an ayah like that. إِنِّي وَجَّهْتُ وَجْهِيَ لِلَّذِي فَطَرَ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. I have taken the direction of my face towards the one who created the heavens and the earth. وَجَّهْتُ وَجْهِي, I have directed my face. So why the face is called wajh? Because it's the first direction that people look at you. When they start look at you, the first thing they look at is your face. So it was called wajh, direction. So فَثَمَّ وَجْهُ اللَّهِ, that means there should the direction be taken. As Shafi'i said it, and all the Salaf said it. What shall I do with you if you're ignorant? This is what Al-Bayhaqi had narrated authentically to the Salaf, that they said, from any place you are, there you should be taking the direction. فَثَمَّ وَجْهُ اللَّهِ. So you should be taking the direction of Allah. What is the direction of Allah? Is the prayer that Allah set for you, the qibla that Allah set for you. فَوَلِّ وَجْهَكَ شَطْرَ الْمَسْجِدِ الْحَرَامِ وَحَيْثُمَا كُنْتُمْ. So wherever you be, فَوَلُّوا وُجُوهَكُمْ شَطْرًا. Imam Shafi'i said, الوجه والوجهة بمعنى واحد. Wajh means, by the way, also wajh means direction. You say to the person, أين الوجه لتلك البلد? Where is the direction of this certain city or street? That's why Shafi'i said wajh and wijha بمعنى واحد. Both they mean the direction. So Allah's talking about taking the direction to Allah, that means to His qibla, wherever you be, from east, from west, no matter where you be, take that direction to Allah, the direction of Allah. Scholars said it, not me, and they did not differ about that, by the way.
According to the literal of the Quran. So did Allah say it or did the Salafis say it? As for the statement that Allah is only above His throne, the Salafis are the ones who say this, that Allah is literally above His throne, not Allah. Now, he goes on.
No, Allah said that He's over His throne. ثم استوى على العرش. And He went up over His throne. Excuse me, Allah speaking Arabic. Oh, by the way, you don't believe that Allah speaks in Arabic. You philosophers, you say that Allah's speech is not language, is not letter, is not word, is not sound. This is philosophy. Look at the ridiculous belief of the Ash'aris. Al-Baqillani is saying that it is not permissible that Allah speaks by voice or words. And this is your Ash'ari scholar, Al-Izz ibn Abd salam. He said, it is not allowed that Allah's speech can be by sound or voice to be heard. And Allah's words are eternal. Funny. That means when Allah said to Musa, what is that cane in your right hand, O Musa? So before Allah created Musa, He was saying to Musa, what is that in your right hand? And then after Musa died, Allah kept until today, until the day of judgment, and to beyond, saying to Musa, what is that in your right hand, O Musa? Because you say that the words of Allah are eternal, azali. That's nonsense. Allahu Akbar. See? Then why Allah described the Quran that it is بِلِسَانٍ عَرَبِيٍّ مُبِينٍ, by a clear Arabic tongue? This Quran is. See, the Ash'aris, philosophers. You are drowned with philosophy. And many of you, they regretted Al-Juwayni, the Imam of Ash'aris, regretted before he died. Al-Razi regretted before he died. Al-Ghazali regretted it, and he criticized your way. And he said the only way is the way of the Salaf. In his book, Al-Jam' al-Awam al-Ilm al-Kalam, I know you, and I know your madhab. If your way is the right way, why your giant scholars of Ash'aris, they regretted and they changed their way. And Ghazali said the best way is the way of the Salaf. Do you follow the Salaf? Whom Al-Ghazali ordered you to follow? Doesn't seem so. Let's continue.
Ignore what Allah said. Are you secured of the one who is in the height? أَأَمِنْتُمْ مَنْ فِي السَّمَاءِ.
As for this verse, there are multiple ways to understand this. It's not just one way. And what proves this is, and why this is so ironic of you to bring this verse, is because the Salafis interpreted this verse to begin with. I'm talking about not the Salaf of the past, I'm talking about the Salafis of today. When they said, أَأَمِنْتُمْ مَنْ فِي السَّمَاءِ وَهَذَا ظَاهِرُهُ أَنَّ السَّمَاءَ مُحِيطَةٌ بِاللَّهِ, that the apparent literal is that the sky is surrounding and encompasses Allah. وَهَذَا الظَّاهِرُ بَاطِل. This is the speech of Imam Ibn Uthaymeen, right?
That's true. This is true. Because when we say Allah is in as-sama, it means the height. كل ما علا فهو سماء. Yes, the general height. We don't believe that Allah is surrounded in one of those 7 layers of the sky. Yes. So that's normal. And that's what the Salaf said. I wanted to say that I believe that Allah is over His throne, over His sama, His throne. I wanted to say it. You don't believe it. You're a very argumentative person. Let's see what your scholars said. Like Al-Bayhaqi. He said Allah is in the height. That means He's over His throne. That means He's over the 7 layers. We don't believe that He is surrounded. He is even over those 7 layers, the skies. He's over them. So this is not a new Salafiya's claim. No. Let's see what your scholars said about that. Until now, this boy, Umar, did not give us any interpretation of his metaphorical interpretation. He's keeping quiet. How long he been speaking now? He did not tell us. What is the meaning of Allah's descendants? What is the meaning of Allah being over His throne? Nothing. He's just attacking, tackling this. That's his mission. Go on.
He's saying that the apparent literal is batil. It's nonsense. It's garbage. And then he says, فَإِذَا كَانَ الظَّاهِرُ بَاطِلًا, that if the literal and the apparent meaning is not, is not.
Don't use the word literal. He's not saying literally. This is your translation. Yes, he said, if the apparent is incorrect. Yes, it is incorrect to believe that Allah is in as-sama. That means one of the 7 skies. You know why? Let's go to An-Nawawi in his explanation for Sahih Muslim. He said, the Prophet ﷺ said, the tent in Jannah is a pearl. Its length in as-sama sittuna dhira'an. Its height in as-sama. That means people of Jannah are in the 7 layers of skies. And now we said, في السماء أي في العلو. Sama means al-ulu, the height. And now we did not say sama means the sky, one of the 7 layers. No. He said في السماء, that means في العلو. As-sama means the height. And Allah is over the 7 layers in the height, over His throne. Did you understand now? Strange. So, what Ibn Uthaymeen said is not wrong. And it's not against what the Salaf said. But you're extremely ignorant, wallah. I did not expect you to be an opponent, a rival, enemy. You are growing up to become an enemy. Agenda against the Salafi way. And you know what? As your scholars died and the Salafi way remained strong, you're gonna die. And you're not gonna be harming the way of the Salafis. Because it is the supported, defended cult by Allah, as the Prophet described it. So you're not going to do anything. Just speak whatever you want to speak. You're going to be exposed. I'm exposing you now. And I speak with knowledge, alhamdulillah. What you speak is with hatred and without knowledge. Let's continue.
That we know ilm al-yaqeen, for certain, that this is not what Allah intended. So even the Salafis interpret this verse. So they said, what's the solution to this? They say, imma an naj'ala fi bi ma'na ala, that either we take the meaning of in and we make it on. So instead of saying, do you feel secure of the one who is in the sky, we say, do you feel secure for the one who's on top of or above the sky?
And that's what the Salaf said. And that's what Al-Bayhaqi said. Because أحرف الجر تتناوب الظروف تتناوب. I don't know how to explain that in English. Like fi and ala, sometimes they swap, replace. And there is an evidence from the Quran that Fir'aun said to the magicians when they repented, he said, I'm going to hang you in the branches of the palm trees. In Al-Bayhaqi said, and all scholars said, in fi, it means ala, over, because Fir'aun did not empty the branches to put the magicians inside it, but he meant by that, over the branches of the palm tree. That's what Al-Bayhaqi said. Clean your glasses and have a look at what Al-Bayhaqi said, exactly as I mentioned. Allah said, walk in the land, that means over it. And Fir'aun said, I'm going to hang you in the branches of the tree. That means over it. That's how Al-Bayhaqi said it. And in this next page, he's saying, fi, in, that means ala sama. Look, that's what Al-Bayhaqi is saying. That's what Al-Bayhaqi is saying. What should I do with you? You're ignorant. He's not Salafi. He's supposed to be Ash'ari. And he said it. Look, I'm showing it to you with a document. I don't speak without documents. I have proofs. You have nothing.
Or we take, naj'al as-sama' bima'na al-'ulu. Or we take the meaning of sky and actually make it mean aboveness.
Aboveness, this is what An-Nawawi took when he described this hadith, that the tent in Jannah is the pearl of the believer. طولها في السماء. The length of that tent in the height. And now we explained it that as-sama means al-ulu, the aboveness. That's An-Nawawi. So Ibn Uthaymeen did not say anything wrong. Continue.
That they say, do you feel secure of the one who is above the sky? This is what they're saying. So it's ironic to bring this verse and say that, you guys are interpreting and you're rejecting this verse when you yourself rejected the literal and apparent of this verse. You can't believe that Allah is literally in the sky, right? And even...
No, we believe that Allah is in reality. Shame on your word, literally. We don't care about it. In reality, Allah is in reality over His throne.
Right? And even your seniors have said this as well. Your elders have said this as well. So the Salafis interpret this and then they accuse us of interpretation. Now, Wait.
It is Al-Bayhaqi who said it. All scholars said that Allah is over His throne, over the seven heavens. Even your Ash'ari scholar. I don't know what you're going to do after you have been shocked and stunned with the statement of Ash'ari himself, Abu al-Hasan al-Ash'ari. The one whom you're taking the name, the title of your madhab from his family name, al-Ash'ari. He said, look, Allah is over his 7 heavens, over his throne, apart from the earth. So where are you now? You're not with the Ash'ari, you're not with the Bayhaqi, you're not with us. And you're keeping people like that. People are demanding, where are the interpretations of you? Until now, you're just tackling us, saying you should not take it that way. Give us your own meaning, and we guarantee to classify you. You're not going to give the metaphorical meaning, because once you mention it, you'll be exposed that you are Jahmi. Continue.
I diagnosed the problem here. What's the solution to it? The solution to it is that both of us presume a word exists within this sentence that is not mentioned. So in the Quran, in Arabic, this happens a lot. It's called taqdirul kalima al-mahdufa. That this is, when you put a word that is essentially a word that is in brackets, right? Such as if I say, and he said, I mean, and he, ya'ni, the Prophet ﷺ said, or he, ya'ni, Fir'aun said. So I put that in brackets. So what's the, assumed word that the Salafis say? They say, أَأَمِنْتُم مَنْ فِي السَّمَاءِ, ya'ni, مَنْ ذَاتُهُ فِي السَّمَاءِ, the one whose essence is in the sky or above the sky, as they interpret to mean. We say, أَأَمِنْتُم مَنْ حُكْمُهُ فِي السَّمَاءِ. So you did.
Now, he is giving a meaning. He said, the meaning of that, you say, you Salafis, that Allah's essence is up. We don't use the word essence, literal. We don't care about these words. Those are not Islamic. They had not been used Islamically. Yes, many scholars, they use the word that, himself, not essence. That, you know what I mean? Do you know Arabic? I don't think you know Arabic. Don't forget, when you read the word kinaya, you read it as kitaba. You don't know Arabic. Oh, so that means Allah's judgment is over in as-sama. His judgment, his ruling is over. Not himself. His ruling. You know what At-Tabari said? The Imam of all Mufassirin. He said, are you secured of the one in heaven? Wahu Allah, and that is Allah, who is in the heaven and the height. And that is Allah. He did not say that this is the judgment of Allah, not Allah. May Allah guide you. Liar. Who among the Salaf said that he is up? That means his judgment is up. Who said it? No one, except you. Maybe some Ash'aris are disconsidered. Bring me something from book, Sunnah, Salaf, early scholars of the 3 praised generations, 3 praised centuries, as the Prophet praised them, did not praise those who come after. You have no answer.
Of the word that, which is Allah's essence. Because you're saying and you're proposing that this verse means Allah is himself literally within the sky or above the sky, as you guys interpret to mean.
No, not us. The Salaf said it. I can bring you hundreds of early scholars who said it. Don't say you. No, the Salaf. Your Ash'ari Imam. He said it. That Allah is over his 7 heavens, over his throne. Isn't this enough for you? Look,
طالب الحق يكفيه الدليل. The seeker of truth, one evidence is sufficient for him. But the seeker of hawa, desire, 1,000 evidences are not sufficient for him. And you are that type. طالب الحق يكفيه الدليل وصاحب الهوى لا يكفيه 1000 دليل. The seeker of truth, one evidence is sufficient for him, is sufficient to him. But the person of hawa, desire, 1,000 evidences are not enough for him. And that's you.
So, you guys are assuming that the wording is Allah's actual essence. I'm assuming that it's actually His command and His authority over the skies and over the heavens. So,
His authority is everywhere. So Allah's authority is in the height apart from the earth. So His authority is only up. He has no authority down. What you're claiming is ironic. And it is not Salafi. That means none of the Salaf said what you said. Bring me, I challenge you. Any statement from the Salaf that He is over the heavens, that means His command, His authority is over. That's all. Don't ever forget that you have another problem, the confession of all your scholars, Ash'ari scholars, that the ta'wil we give is not definite. It is assumption. As Al-Razi, Al-Ghazali, all your scholars, they admitted it. So your ta'wil is a matter of possibility. So it cannot convince others because you are basing your aqidah on possibilities. Look at the book Ad-Dalil al-Qawim for Habashi, page 47. It is a matter of possibility. Look at the book of Maturidi, At-Tawheed, page 74. It's muhtamal, possibility. Look at Ghazali in his book Al-Mustasfa. Ta'wil is a matter of possibility. All scholars admitted that it's a matter of possibility. So why do you make it obligatory upon us? So His authority is not on earth. Whew. Wow. So Allah has no authority on earth because His authority is only up. But Elizabeth, the queen, her authority is only on earth, not up. But Allah's authority is up but not down. See? That's why I was waiting for you to bring me your own interpretation. So I'll let people laugh at you. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. You know, I enjoy refuting you because you speak quickly, eloquently. You have good English, but your doctrine is false. It's sufficient to let you go to hell. Don't get angry with me. I'm not angry now. I'm not speaking angrily. But I'm warning you. It's up to you. Let's continue. So it is so obvious that when it comes to the matter of tafsir, it is connected to the subject of how. How to get over his throne, istiwa, how he gets down to the lowest heaven. As far as the subject is about how, no tafsir. But does the attributes of Allah has meaning? How come Allah descends an attribute and He doesn't want us to know its meaning? That's why At-Tirmidhi said that the Jahmiyyah gave a different tafsir to these attributes, different than the tafsir of Ahlul Ilm, the people of knowledge. It's very obvious. And that reminds me of what Imam Malik said when someone came to him and asked him
Allah istawa, he went over his throne. كيف استوى? How did he do that? Then Malik kept thinking for a while. He was outraged from the questioner. Then he said, الاستواء معلوم. To elevate over the thing is known. والكيف مجهول. And the matter of how is unknown. والإيمان به واجب. And believing it is a matter of mandatory. والسؤال عنه بدعة. And the questioning about how is a matter of innovation. Then he ordered this man to be expelled. So, istiwa has a meaning, well known. So, istiwa has a known meaning. Kayf is unknown. Imam Dhahabi said, this statement of Imam Malik is the slogan of the people of Ahl Sunnah until the day of judgment. Let's continue, Amr. The other problem is that you are assuming the ta'wil. That your ta'wil is assumed, is not positive. It is not ascertained by the confession of all your own scholars. Ghazali, Razi, Murtada Zabidi, Bayjuri, Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani, Maturidi, all disagreed. They all admitted that the ta'wil given to the attributes of Allah is assumption, is not positive. So the contradiction you're making now is that you are dictating, imposing on us what you confessed that it is a matter of possibility. It may agree with the meaning with Allah, it may not. And the meaning you gave is very funny. The Salaf didn't say it. And it mandates on you that Allah's authority is not down, is limited to up. Gotcha. Let's continue.
The context of the verse, this is what it says. So I'm going to ask a question. What kind of fear is being instilled in somebody if you say Allah is literally himself, he's the one in the sky? Okay, if Allah's in the sky or he's outside of the sky, assuming that he has a literal place, if he's inside the sky or outside the sky, Allah is still in control. It doesn't make a difference. So how is that helping towards the fear that Allah is trying to instill into the people? Contrast that to when you say, do you feel secure of the one who is in control of the skies, that he does not destroy you? So, showing the kuffar of Quraysh that Allah has control and he can destroy you at any moment. So,
what you're saying is nonsense. It's only arguing. And the whole atmosphere of your arguments have nothing to do with the tawheed that the Prophet came with the tawheed that the Prophet was fighting Quraysh for. The tawheed of the Prophet is in a valley, and your type of tawheed is in another valley. What's wrong to say that Allah's authority is in the sky? First, we have archive of all the Salaf's statements who supported the Aqidah doctrine that Allah is up apart from down. Not only our scholars, your own establisher of the Ash'ari madhab, as I showed you, that Allah is up apart from down. He. And some they stressed by himself, lest someone say by his honor. You have no answer. You're just arguing.
So how is that helping towards the fear that Allah is trying to instill into the people? Contrast that to when you say, do you feel secure of the one who is in control of the skies, that he does not destroy you?
No. Because no one said it. All the Salaf explained it the way as I'm saying it now. that Allah is Himself over His throne. Wait a minute. So that means before Allah created the heavens and the earth, He had no control up. After He created the heavens and the earth, then He became controlling. This is exactly what the Mu'tazila said and the Jahmiyyah. And you know where did you get it from? From Christians. From Al-Akhtal al-Nasrani, who gave ta'wil to the istawa, to the meaning that istawla, He controlled, He had authority, very close to Him. He said, this poetry, استوى بشر على العراق من غير سيف ولا دم مهراقي. So your tafsir, your ta'wil, is identical to the ta'wil of the Jahmiyyah, identical to the meaning that the Christian poet Al-Akhtal gave as meaning of istawa. And His authority is everywhere, not only in the heaven. That's why Imam Malik said, Allah is in as-sama' and His ilm knowledge is everywhere. You want to argue, but you are perishing no one but yourself and those who follow you. Why do we have to take your ta'wil while you admitted that it's possible? As some assumption. Why do you have to take it? No, we rather take the words of the Salaf, who confronted the Jahmiyyah and stressed that Allah is by Himself up. We take their words, not yours. Let's continue.
Showing the kuffar of Quraysh that Allah has control and He can destroy you at any moment. So you should believe. This is what He's trying to say to the disbelievers. Now, where do you get that if you're just saying, oh, Allah's actual entity is in the sky?
That's nonsense. You know why? Because the Prophet asked the concubine, where is Allah? Very clear. Very clear. We take your so-called ta'wil and throw it in the garbage. Because the Salaf, they all said Allah is up. Because even your Ash'ari Shaykh, he cited the hadith of the concubine to prove that Allah is up. So that makes what the Prophet said nonsense. So either the Prophet said something nonsense, or you're saying something nonsense. Either him or you. Why? If Allah is not in as-sama, why does he have to ask the concubine, where is Allah? And she said, in as-sama. Then he said to her owner, free her. She is a believer. You're inviting us to the disbelief. Contrary of what the Prophet approved the iman, faith of the concubine when she said Allah is up in as-sama. As I said to you, the truth seeker, one evidence is enough for him. But the follower of hawa, desire, thousands of evidences will not be sufficient to him. And you're one of them. Continue.
And Aslan, according to the Salafiyya of today, the Salafis of today, they like to say that the kuffar of Quraysh believed in Tawheed Rububiyyah. They believed in a God that exists in the heavens. They believed in this according to the Salafis of today. So if they already believed in this, where is the fear? I mean, they already believed in it, yet they're still not afraid. So why is Allah saying, do you feel secure of the one who is in the sky? They already believed He's in the sky, yet they're still not afraid. So why is Allah just repeating that?
This is stupidity. He is intimidating them because of their sins, because of their shirk. Okay? Now, this ayah, you deny that it belongs to Allah. أَأَمِنْتُمْ مَنْ فِي السَّمَاءِ. Some of you said the angels. Those who are in as-sama are the angels. Some of you say Jibreel. Some of them said the one whom you claim that he is in as-sama. If we go to Surah Al-Isra, Surah number 17, Ayah number 67, it's very clear that Allah is saying the same, very similar ayah to the one in Surah Al-Mulk. آمنتم من في السماء أن يخسف بكم الأرض فإذا هي تمور أم أمنتم من في السماء أن يرسل عليكم حاصب. أمنتم من في السماء يخسف يرسل. Okay, let's go to Surah Al-Isra. When the harm touches you, you'll be losing all of those who you've been supplicating with him, except him, Allah. Then when Allah saved you to the land, you return to your shirk. أفأمنتم أن يخسف بكم جانب البر? Do you secure that he will be causing the earth to swallow you? The land? It's the same exactly. But here it's clear that the pronoun renders to Allah. There's another ayah. أفأمن الذين مكروا السيئات? Are those who commit the evil deeds that Allah will be causing the earth to quake beneath them? Very clear. So it's Allah who's in as-sama. أفأمن الذين مكروا السيئات أن يخسف الله بهم الأرض. Okay? The way you are arguing is nonsense. It has no meaning. So in any way, they believe that Allah is in the sky. So why he says to them, are you... This is argumentative and it has no meaning. Baseless, meaningless. You're trying hard to get deeper in the evil. Wallahi. I'm amazed, wallah. Why don't you surrender to the truth? The Salaf never argued the way you're arguing. The Salaf never said that it is Allah's authority which is up, not him. You're a liar. Subhanallah. Look, good news giving to you from the Prophet ﷺ. The Prophet said, ما ضل قوم بعد الهدى كانوا عليه إلا أوتوا الجدل. No people became misguided after guidance was with them, but they will be given the argument, but they will become argumentative. And you're one of them.
You know, how does that add more fear to them when they already believe that according to you guys to begin with? So this is, you know, it's absurd to actually say that Allah's actual essence is within the sky. And aslan, this is why they interpret. They interpreted this verse saying that we have to make the word fi to mean ala, and we have to change the word sky and make it mean aboveness. It means above the sky.
All scholars before, they said it. Among them is Al-Bayhaqi. Yes, it is true. It's linguistically affirmed that fi and ala, they can swap. Al-Bayhaqi said it. And we cited an ayah. Allah said, فَسِيرُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ. So walk in the land. So does it mean that you are inside the land in the mind? Where's your mind? He said, walk in the land. That means over the land. And Pharaoh intimidated the magicians when they repented. He said to them, I'm going to hang you in the branches of the palm trees. And in that means, it doesn't mean inside the branch. That means over the branch. Who said it? The Salaf or the scholars said it. So don't try to let people think that it is the Salafis, the current Salafis, who invented this. No. And you had the document inside, in front of your faith. In front of your face. Get it. Look at it. Maybe your glasses need to be enforced. Maybe you need to upgrade your glasses. This is very shameful. You're a very shameful person. The way you are rising and the argumentative. And the argumentative rhetoric is very shameful. Wallahi. Let's continue.
We have to change these things up to actually give it a meaning that makes a little bit more sense. Unfortunately, this is like avoiding the banana peel with your right foot and stepping on it, slipping and falling with your left foot. That's all it is. You avoid one impossibility, so you interpret, but you interpret to another impossibility.
We do not interpret by possibilities, just like the way you do. No. We interpret by the Quran. The best way to interpret the Quran is by the Quran. And when Allah says that He is in as-sama, that means He is over. By the citing of those two ayat, فَسِيرُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ, walk in the land, which means over the land. Allah doesn't say walk in the land, that means inside it, down, beneath. And Fir'aun intimidated the magicians, saying to them, I'll be hanging you in the branches of the palm tree. It doesn't mean inside it, it's over it. We're not making possibilities. We are citing from the Quran and from the Salaf who interpreted it the way I'm saying it to you now. You have no knowledge. You're an argumentative person. Allah, you're making me angry. Astaghfirullah. Jahmi, your uprising is Jahmi uprising. I advise you not to go this way.
But what does Ahlul Sunnah say? We say that you can understand it.
Don't say, but Ahlul Sunnah, which are us. No. You do not represent Ahlul Sunnah. You represent the Jahmiyyah. And I'm saying this with full document. I'm not attacking.
As man hukmuhu fi as-sama' or man junduhu fi as-sama'.
Oh, see the possibilities. First he said his authority is in the heaven, or his soldiers in heaven. So see the possibility. It may be his authority, it may be his soldiers. And none of the two were stated by the Salaf. No, it's you and your Jahmi followers and your Jahmi people. Continue. Allahu Akbar. See, he admitted that he is giving possibilities, and giving possibilities by Allah is very big, major sin. If you but know that, Mr. Umar. Continue.
Allah's army is in the sky. In other words, the angels who...
Oh, that's good. It's good you mentioned that. See? When the Prophet said that Allah descends to the lowest heaven, he says, and his people as well, that it's the angel who descends on Allah's behalf. Now, if Allah is in the heaven, that's the angels. See how many meanings he gave for Allah being in a sama? 3 possible meanings. Either his authority, or his soldiers, or his angels. Yalla, what do you have also? Do you have a 4th meaning? And the 5th meaning is that his honor is up. His highness. Which means if Allah goes down to the lowest heaven, that means his honor falls with him.
Allah's punishment. So there are ways to understand this verse.
There are ways to understand this verse, but not as the Salaf translated it, interpreted it. No.
That is in line with the actual purpose of this verse's revelation. Otherwise, what is Allah trying to instill fear in these people?
Shut up and don't say next time Allah is trying. You should not use the word Allah is trying. We teach you. Where are your teachers to tell you that you should not be using this? What kind of teachers you have if they did not teach you not to use the word Allah is trying? What kind of teachers? I want to know. Who are your teachers? Continue. Shameful boy. Bonanza.
But when they already believe that Allah, that there exists an Allah, and then even if they didn't believe that, suppose, okay, Allah's in the sky. Okay, whether he's in the sky or he's not in the sky, the point is to try and show that Allah has control.
The point the Prophet wanted to make is to tell you that Allah is up. And that's why he asked the concubine, where is Allah? And the concubine, who has no knowledge, she answered by her fitrah, natural disposition. And this is a plot from Allah against you. He did not let the answerer to the Prophet's question be a philosopher or educated person. A concubine. She said, Allah is up in the height. Then the Prophet said, leave her, free her, for she is a believer. You know what consequates? The matter is that you're not believer. Because the Prophet said that she is believer when she said to him, Allah is in as-sama. You don't want to believe that Allah is in as-sama. You're making the one in as-sama either his authority or his angels or his army or his soldiers. See? So, according to the standard judgment of the Prophet, you are not a believer. So the concubine was successful, but you're not. Continue.
So we say man hukmuhu, the one who man yahkumu ala sama, the one who is in control and in command of these guys. So this is to do with that verse.
So this is not to do with this verse. No. Because this is not what your Imam Ash'ari said. This is not what At-Tabari said. This is not what Al-Bayhaqi said. This is not what Al-Jilani said. This is not what Al-Harith Al-Muhasibi said. All of them said that Allah is up apart from down. Let's continue now.
Okay. He mentioned that I won't give a meaning to these, and I said at the beginning that this is because the video is coming out where I'm going to talk about the meaning as well. But he says that if he did give a meaning, then he is a Jahmi, then he is like the Jahmiyyah, right? The ones who reject Allah's attributes. So we're gonna talk about the meaning just now in a few minutes. But before that, he brings up the idea that Imam Ibn Hajar rahimahullah contradicts himself, and this shows such incapability to understand the statements of the scholars of the past.
But he turned away from other quotations which show his disagreement with the Salaf in their way and their methodology. By this you can see that Ibn Hajar fell in great contradiction.
I wish I could say this in a better way, but saying that Imam Ibn Hajar contradicted himself, when first of all, you probably did not read the rest of the quote that I mentioned, because he mentions later on the path of the Salaf. He didn't contradict himself at all. And then he goes, Imam Ibn Hajar over here quoted where he agrees with the Jahmiyyah. Where did he get that from? He quoted the tariqah of the Salaf, and he says that it's...
Shh! I put two documentations of Ibn Hajar. First, he quoted At-Tirmidhi saying that the Salaf agreed with all the attributes, and they took it apparently. The Jahmiyyah disagreed with them, and they said this is tashbih. So Ibn Hajar approved what At-Tirmidhi said. The other document, it says that those who said about the attributes of Allah that we take it apparently as it is, those are mushabbiha. I'm not disrespecting Ibn Hajar, and he's a human being. I'm showing where he contradicted himself. If you don't have glasses, either you clean them or upgrade them, or let someone read them in front of you. I put the documents. It seems you don't want to read them.
the path of the Salaf is to pass it on as it came, bila kayf, without a modality. And this is the path of the Salaf that we've already established that the Salafis also agree with. Except they interpret the word bila kayf to mean بإثبات الكيفية مع جهلنا بها. That when the Salaf said no modality, they actually meant there is a modality. But they just meant that we don't know the modality.
Allahu Akbar. Gotcha. You know who said that? Ibn Hajar. He said, إن السلف لم يخوضوا في صفات الله. Look, I memorized it. لعلمهم بأنه بحث عن كيفية ما لا تعلم كيفيته بالعقل لكون العقول لها حد تقف عنده. الله أكبر. Watch the document. See, you are tackling us saying that it is our invention. It's not only Ibn Hajar, it's Al-Qurtubi. Look what Al-Qurtubi said. I'll translate what Ibn Hajar said. The Salaf did not delve with the attributes of Allah because of their knowledge, because of their awareness that it is a searching to know about the kayfiyya of Allah. They're delving to search about the one whom his modality cannot be defined by minds, because the minds have a limit it should stand at. So Ibn Hajar said he has kayfiyya, but the minds cannot comprehend this kayfiyya. Allahu Akbar. On the spot. Who else? Al-Qurtubi. Al-Qurtubi is considered to be Ash'ari. Look what he's saying. In his tafsir, volume 7, page 140. He said, وَلَمْ يُنْكِرْ أَحَدٌ مِنَ السَّلَفِ اسْتِوَاءَهُ عَلَى عَرْشِهِ. None of the Salaf had denied the istiwa of Allah over his throne, except you. وَإِنَّمَا جَهِلُوا كَيْفِيَّةَ الْإِسْتِوَاءِ. But they did not know. Their ignorance is about the howness, the modality. You call it modality. The modality of his istiwa. So he approved that Allah has kayfiyya. But we don't know about this kayfiyya. Al-Qurtubi, he did not say he has no kayfiyya. He said they could not achieve any awareness about his kayfiyya. The Salaf always win. The Jahmi always fall. Continue.
About how these attributes look like.
They just meant that we don't know the modality. And the reason why is, I've already explained that the modality only comes from physical beings. It's because the Salafis of today believe that Allah is a physical entity. This is why, even in their interpretation, when they have to interpret, certain verses like the verse we just spoke about, they interpreted that verse to mean Allah is above the sky, because they're still putting Allah in a direction and in a place. And this.
It is not us who put Allah in direction. It is Allah who put himself in direction. And he instructed us that he is up apart from down. Had not he instructed us to this, we would never been saying this. We took it from Allah. He said that he is over his throne. And the Prophet asked the Prophet, where is Allah? She said, he's up. Why do you deny? Don't deceive people, having them to believe that it's us who said it. It's our claim. No. It's not our allegation. It's the Prophet's instruction given to us, in which you are denying. That's why people called you mu'attil. You are denier. You are denier of what Allah described himself and what the Prophet described him. You are the denier. You have no point to make. No point to make. And you're lying. You're lying at the Salaf. You're lying at us. We believe we describe Allah by what He described Himself. Period. Keep blaming us. Keep intimidating us. Keep tackling us. The Salafis are just like a rock. They never give up. You are mujassima, you are making Allah physical, you are making Allah body. Doesn't make sense to us. Keep on saying whatever you desire to say.
This is what even Imam Ibn Hajar, what my whole previous video was about, where Imam Ibn Hajar is saying that the majority of the scholars has rejected this idea that Allah is in a place and He's in a direction and whatnot. He says, Ta'ala Allahu an dhalik. Far greater is Allah than
Far greater is Allah from you, Mu'attila. Allah described Himself that He is in a jihah. We do not assign to Allah any direction except the direction He assigned for Himself. He said He's up. And your whole argument is to say, no, He's not. So you are mu'attil. You are disrupting Allah's attributes. The concubine said He is up. Yalla, say, I challenge you. Make a video and say, yes, I agree with what the concubine said. I hope that you'll not be saying it, then you give it another meaning. You're playing game. You know what your Ash'ari people said, like your Sheikh ElHashmi? He said, when the Prophet asked the concubine, where is Allah? He meant to say to her, what is your perception, your belief about Allah's greatness? She said, He is in a sama. That means He is so great. So when why didn't she say then to the Prophet, you are in a sama because you are also so great? Nonsense! They just want to deny. They just want to justify what they deny. Allahu Akbar. Look, speak good English as much as you want. Speak swiftly as much as you want. You won't win. Continue.
To be described with properties of a physical being. So back to what Imam Ibn Hajar, where he says that he contradicted himself, he didn't actually contradict himself in any place. He mentions the path of the Salaf, and Imam Ibn Hajar was a mufawwid, and he mentions this in many times. You can find in Fath al-Bari where he says
mufawwid. He may be inclining to tafweed, yes. But when Ibn Hajar contradicts the Salaf, we go with the Salaf despite our love to Ibn Hajar. That's what I said before. Abdullah ibn al-Mubarak, according to what Bukhari narrated, he was asked, how do we know Allah? He did not say we should not know Allah. He said we should know Him that He is over His heavens, over His throne. Page 8 to 9. The book of Bukhari. خلق أفعال العباد. Your confrontation with the Salafis is failure. I want to say to you, just like what my daughter used to say to me when she was young. Loser! Continue.
Where he says, مُفَوِّضًا مَعْنَاهَا إِلَى اللَّهِ, that we leave the meanings to Allah. Why? Because when we try and talk about the meaning and you establish the literal meaning of descent, for example, it means Allah is in a literal place, right? From a higher location to a lower location. If you were to try and ascribe that meaning to Allah, it means Allah is a physical body. So we don't ascribe that meaning to Allah because Allah is not a physical body.
Until now, talkative person, You did not give the meaning to the attributes you're arguing about. Except when he said that Allah is in us, about Allah's and as-sama means His authority, you made me laugh at you. And this is not what the Salaf explained. You're going against the understanding of the Salaf. Coming to the matter of saying that we don't, Allah knows best about those attributes of His. Wait a minute. Why did Allah descend these attributes? Isn't it for the purpose of introducing Himself to us, to let us know Him better, since we do not see Him? You are disrupting this divine purpose. It is nonsense to say that Allah knows best. What does it mean? You know what it means. When I say Allah is Al-Muntaqim, Al-Jabbar, you know what it means. You signify the meaning of Al-Jabbar apart from Al-Latif, the kind. So don't you differentiate between Jabbar and Latif? The answer is yes. That means you know that the attributes have meanings. And if we don't know, that means the Prophet doesn't know. So he doesn't know Allah's attributes. So he's jahil of Allah's attributes. So he's jahil of the meanings of Allah's attributes. Is that what you're going to tell us? So the Prophet is jahil. Or you say he knew it, but we did not know it. That means he did not convey the message. You're in trouble in both cases. Comply to the truth, man. Allah yadik. Let's continue.
Right? And this is all taken from the verse of the Quran where Allah says, لَيْسَ كَمِثْلِهِ شَيْءٌ وَهُوَ السَّمِيعُ الْبَصِيرُ.
Al-Bukhari said, the voice of Allah is different than the voice of the people because لَيْسَ كَمِثْلِهِ شَيْءٌ. You see, you are bringing the verse to justify for yourself denying Allah's attributes. You need to understand what is the meaning of Allah. There's nothing that resembles Him. Because you fell in resembling Allah. That's why you wanted to run away from this by denying Allah's attributes. So as Wallahi al-Bukhari said it. Allah said, Al-Bukhari said, those Jahmiyyah, your Salaf. First, they resembled. Then, they disrupted. First, they resembled. They made Allah similar in their imagination. They wanted to run away from this imagination of resembleness. They fell in ta'til, denying, disrupting. Those are your Salaf. And Al-Bukhari said it. And you're falling in the same thing exactly. Let's continue.
And I'm actually going to get into this a little bit more in depth in one of the other points that Dimashqiah made. The next point that he tried to bring was that the Ash'ari scholars believe that your ta'wil, your interpretation is muhtamal. It's something that is possible and it doesn't give any certainty.
Because this metaphor is possible. Who says that? Ash'ari scholars. They all agreed that the metaphor is possible. Because all of those Ash'ari scholars, they admitted all that giving internal meanings is a matter of possibility, as you see now. At-ta'wil muhtamal. The ta'wil they give is possible, indefinite.
Now, he presented this in such a way that it's as if he's trying to teach me what the Ash'ari say. Now, put me aside. What about all the Ash'ari scholars? Like, do you really think that we don't know our own books? We study this. This is what we just...
Shut up. I know your madhab and your books more than yourself. Don't be sad for the fact. I know better than you. I'll read to you what Ibn Hajar said. And the one who followed the way of Khalaf, that means who came, the generations that came after the Salaf. And the one who followed the way of Al-Khalaf, واثقا, trust, بأن الذي يتأوله هو المراد. He cannot trust that the ta'wil he is giving is going in accordance with what Allah meant by the attributes. ولا يمكنه القطع بصحة تأويله, and he cannot ascertain, he cannot say, yes, my ta'wil is certainly correct. Ibn Hajar is saying to you, you can't say that. And he said also, صاحب التأويل ليس جازما بتأويله, and the person of ta'wil is not positive about his ta'wil. Fath al-Bari, volume 13, page 353 and 383. So we gave you the document, we translated to you. As I said to you, the seeker of truth, one evidence is enough for him. The seeker of desire, hawa, 1,000 evidences cannot convince him. And you're one of them. Let's continue.
This is not even the Ash'ari school only, this is also the Maturidi school as well. Even the Maturidi say, and we just finished this book, Al-Bidayah fi Usul al-Din. In this book, it mentions explicitly, min ghayri qat'in, annahu muradullah.
Mumtaz! You're helping me. They're saying that the ta'wil is not affirmed, is not ascertained. And the quotation you brought, and the reference, and the context you cited, it goes in accordance with Maturidi himself said. Kitab al-Tawheed, page 74. He said, ثم لا نقطع تأويله على شيء منه ثم لا نقطع على التأويل بشيء لاحتماله غيره. Go and read it, or I'll give it to you. Tack on your face. Read it. So we cannot claim to be certain of the ta'wil we give, because it may mean something differently. You're losing the battle. You have nothing to say. That's why you want to run away from the debate. It's not because you're not ripe yet, because you're not qualified and you don't have the evidences. I'm throwing all evidences onto your face. Unfortunately, you're justifying your ignorance. Let's continue.
Without certainty that this is what Allah actually meant. Why do we say without certainty? Because if it was qat'i, if it was decisive, explicit, right, certain that this is what Allah meant, and then a person disbelieves in that, they're considered a kafir. So
Ya haram, ya haram, ya haram. He admitted that the ta'wil they give is possible. He said, you know why they said that? Because if it is certain, then he will become kafir. Bismillah, mashallah. That's another subject, whether he become kafir in denial or not. Oh, so that means they are liars. It is decisive to them, but they claim that it's not decisive. They want to show mercy to the other people, lest they be considered kafir. Nonsense! It's not, wallahi, nonsense. He's making me laugh, wallahi. What you're talking about, man? They said it's not decisive, certain. That means to you it is, but they're saying that, lest some people say to those who go against them that they are kafir. Nonsense argument. Allahu Akbar.
Such as when Allah said, قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ, that Allah is one. there is only one meaning to this. It doesn't hold the possibility of having a different meaning.
Do you know, Mr. Omar, you put yourself in another trouble now. Do you know that your scholars, Ash'aris and Maturidis, and even in the book Al-Fiqh Al-Akbar, I don't know, there's some disagreements about it being the book of Abu Hanifa. But on the first page of this book, he says that Allah is one, but not by number, not in terms of number. So he's what in terms of what? He is one in terms of what? Nonsense! And the Ash'aris said it, that Allah is one, but not as a number. As what then? Kilo? Pound? Not as one, not as number. Look, your Sheikh Maturidi, he said it. Allah is one, but not through number, as number. Fiqh al-Akbar, Abu Hanifa, Allah is one, but not in number. Qushayri, in his book Lata'if al-Isharat, he said Allah is not one in number. Very strange. This is the philosophy that caused you to fall in this. And it let you fall in another thing when you say that Allah mawjudun bila makan. He had been existed without place. Oh, who existed him? Who brought him to existence? Existed is not one of the names of Allah. Mawjood. The name of Allah is Wajid, not Mawjood. And we can't say bila makan. He is over the throne. The throne is makan, place, and Allah is over it. He said it, Allah. Who are you? You're making yourself Allah instead by saying no. He's not as what Allah said in the Quran. It's in the Quran. I don't know how patient will I keep being against this, wallah. My God.
That you call out, is there anyone who is making dua such that I may respond to him? And something else is what's actually carrying out this call. And it's not actually Allah. So when you have this hadith where the Prophet ﷺ is...
See, he's making a lie. Where is the evidence of your lie? That it's not Allah who said it. What a big liar. How many lies are consisted in his video? How many lies? And it's easy for him to lie. See, the Prophet said it is Allah who descends, and this guy, small boy, he's saying no, it is not Allah who descends. So, who's intercepting and blocking the Prophet's hadith? You. The Prophet had spoken the truth, Sadaqa Rasulullah, but you have spoken the false. كذبت. Let's continue.
Saying that that Allah commands someone to make this proclamation, and the other one saying that Allah does make this proclamation. It's very clear that this is just as the hadith. This is called an isnad majazi, when there's an action that is ascribed to a doer when that doer is not the doer of the action.
Yay! My goodness, I'm about to vomit. First, we don't agree with your majaz. Your majaz, okay, use it as a napkin. Your majaz, use it as a napkin. I don't care about it. Throw it in the garbage. Oh, it's not something holy. A'udhu billah. You're speaking against... No. Majaz is not a thing that Allah instructed us to follow. Neither His Prophet, nor any one of the early scholars. Majaz. Majaz is the stairs of the Batinis, the Shia. They use this. And the Jews and the Christians before. They use it. It's not someone saying close the door, but it's not the real door, it's Majaz door. What you're talking about, man? Allah, a'udhu billah. I'm about to vomit. Continue.
To explain that, Allah says in a hadith Qudsi, where He says, "Istat'amtuka falam tut'imni." I asked you for food, O my servant, and you didn't feed me. And He says, "Yabna Adam maridtu." O son of Adam, I became sick. Why is Allah saying, "O son of Adam, I became sick"? He never became sick. He's ascribing it to Himself to show the greatness of taking care of one of His servants.
Continue the hadith. Umar. This hadith is evident that you should not be using the majaz by your own authority. You know why? Continue the hadith. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if He said that without continuation, it will create a problem, you're right. But Allah said, the servant asked Allah, "Oh Allah, how can I feed you while you are my Lord?" Then Allah said, "Didn't you know that my servant sought food, was hungry, and you did not feed him? If you fed him, you'll be finding that with me. You'll be finding that with me. Oh my servant, I got sick, but you did not visit me." Then the servant goes like, "How do you get sick, O Allah? Well, you are the Lord of the worlds." He said, "Didn't you know that my servant was sick? If you visited him, you'll be finding that with me." So the context gives explanation. So now you are allowed to say, yes, Allah did not mean Himself. Yes, what is the evidence? Allah explained it. This is evident that you should be looking for the context, not for the majaz metaphor. The context is the judge, while the majaz metaphor is a matter of possibility. So which one we should rather follow? The context. And the hadith is evident about the need of looking at all the hadith.
He goes on to explain that actually it's my servant who got sick and you didn't visit him. So to show us the greatness and the reward of going to visit a sick person and going to feed someone who's hungry.
So Allah explained it without the need of metaphor. This hadith is for us and against you, if you but know. Continue.
This is what the hadith is trying to show us. The exact same way, when you have the hadith actually explaining that Allah commands an angel to call out, is there anyone who is making dua that Allah may respond to show the greatness of that, it's as if Allah Himself is coming to listen to you. Moving on, he says, another meaning that the Ash'aris and the scholars give is that Allah's mercy descends or His command descends. And then he responds to this by saying,
So Allah's decision is limited to the last part of the night. So He has no decisions except at the last part of the night. So Allah's mercy is limited to this period of time, the last part of the night only. Wow. See, that would be putting you in trouble.
Who said that? Where did that come from? Right? That came from your understanding, which is problematic, because just as the Prophet ﷺ tells us at many different times, such as between the adhan and the iqamah, your dua is accepted. When there's rain, your dua is accepted. The dua of the oppressed is not rejected. So what? Is everyone else's dua rejected?
Very argumentative person. Nonsense. This is not what I understood. This is what you claimed. When you say that the mercy, when you explain it, that the mercy of Allah will be descending at the last part of the night, yes, we'll be saying to you, checkmate, you're in trouble. Because the mercy of Allah descends all the times. Isn't true? Isn't this true or not? When you say, yes, it is true that the mercy of Allah descends day and night, finish. Your statement is finished. Your majaz is finished. Because you are telling us it is you. It's not our understanding. It is your allegation. That the descending is the last part of the night. This is limited. The time is limited. The last part of the night is the mercy. Because the hadith continues. Until Fajr. Then Allah goes up until Fajr. So it is a limited time. So when you say that it is the mercy, that means you are limiting the mercy of Allah. It's true, it's very clear. You just want to argue. Nonsense argument. What a perverted person. I thought that you are really a very seeker of the truth, that you may return. No. No, may Allah guide you. May Allah guide you. But the way I see you now, very argumentative, very professional argumentative. But, alhamdulillah, I shredded you. I broke you. Let's continue.
And is every other dua that's not during the time of rain, that's all rejected? No. It just means that it's as if I said to someone, I'm more merciful when I'm in a good mood.
So the hadith is meaningless now. What did Allah mean by saying He will be descending at the last part of the night? Because Allah wants to give significance to this. And you are wasting that significance by saying His mercy descends all time, day and night. But His mercy descends the last part of the night. You are causing people to doubt Allah and His Messenger. You're giving no answer. No reasonable answer. It is true that Allah's mercy descends by day and night, which contradicts you. Because you say, yes, the mercy descends at every time, but also the mercy descends in the last part of the night. No. It is Allah, and the Prophet said, Allah descends. You're saying, no, O Prophet, He does not descend. That's what you said a while ago. His mercy descends, but not Him. So why the Prophet said it's Him? And the evidence that it is Him, He said, I am the king, according to Sahih Muslim. And I put you in trouble in this. You said, no, Allah did not say I am the king. Hadith in Sahih Muslim, very clear. Prove that you are a liar. Continue.
It doesn't mean that I'm not going to have mercy at any other time and my mercy is specific to when I'm in a good mood only. No. It just means that if you want a higher chance of receiving my mercy towards something, get me when I'm in a good mood. Allah is saying the third portion of the night is so great in His eyes in terms of reward. Pray at that portion of the night because that is when it is, the easiest to attain Allah's mercy. So there are ways to understand this hadith that don't imply that Allah is something.
You're making the Prophet's statement contradictory. Allah does not descend all the time. The Prophet specified a certain period where Allah Himself descends, while His mercy descends day and night. So you are wasting the Prophet's statement, building up your own statement instead of his statement. See the problem? The problem lies there. Let this be part 2 of my refutation against Umar. And wait for the part 3. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.